weeks do these guys have off?
6.
6
They're
week
back
break.
in Seattle.
6-week break. Okay.
I think the big thing to talk about is not just the break, but the fact that you're going to have 2 of those showdowns after the break, and that's going to be a huge impact.
Oh well, yeah, it's a huge impact on points, and points implications.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a normal race for them. They're racing against a bunch of other guys, and it's a great opportunity to make up points and a great
Right. So
and
the
it could be an opportunity to lose.
the better you are leaving here, right? The more solid you are leaving here, could be.
I think,
huge.
you know, and I'm going to talk about it on the broadcast tonight. It's kind of the story there is just, you know, it's so key to leave this race with a 6-week break and send a message to whoever wins tonight, like, hey, dude, I'm the guy. I'm the last guy to win. I'm going to let you sit on that for 6 weeks.
I'm sorry, if it goes Faulkner, Cooper, Ferrandis, it's everybody's within like 4 or 5 points of each other.
Which it could easily be.
Yeah.
You know, you have to give you have to give some kind of advantage to Faulkner tonight because he's such a good starter.
I'm sorry, you just said.
No, I was just going to say to your point that I'd asked Dylan about the break thing because I'd asked Justin about it yesterday and thinking I wasn't sure what mode he was in, like, oh, if you're going to sort of make up from the last couple of weeks, and he said no, his focus is about the break. It's like, got to finish strong for all those reasons you just said. When I asked Dylan about it today, he's like, that's always how I used to think about it, right? Strategy, like the same kind of thing we were asking Eli yesterday, like, what's your strategy? And he said, Dylan said, I don't have one. I don't think about the break. I don't think about any of that that's gone. He's like, I've learned to just go, I'm in the moment. I deal with racing that's happening today. I can't control any of it. It's here and now.
It's crazy because you think, like, you don't know where you're going. You might end up somewhere else.
But he didn't really, like, he said he always used to bite him when he'd think like that and have this,
Really?
like, gotta do
Oh, he
this
had
at
an
that point,
expectation
blah,
in
blah, blah.
himself.
He said it would bite him, so he's learned not to do
One
it.
question I would like.
I guess it works for him.
One
right?
question I would like to hear from you, if you have the opportunity, to ask Dylan. I would like to know who he is worried about the most, Justin Cooper or Faulkner, and why. What is his, you know what I'm saying, like going into this break, obviously he wants to win, but who is he most concerned about for the title and why? He might say, oh, both guys are really good. That's probably what he's going to say. But
I bet he's going to probably turn around and say, the way he was talking, it was a little bit like, I'm not thinking about any of them. It was a real kind of block everything out sort of. So I wouldn't be surprised if he turned around and said, I'm not thinking about either of them, I'm thinking about myself. I mean, I'm just guessing from the way he was talking, but I'll ask him.
I would like to say, you know, going in, if he wins and you interview him, like, hey, you know, going into the break, it's a great, but who do you have your eye on the most? They're both good, but for what reasons?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
No,
like,
for sure.
who are you concerned about, dude?
You can relate to this. Like, what do you think Villeman's telling him? You raced Villeman. I mean, you know what. I mean,
I think
he was
Villeman's
awesome.
telling him, dude, you got to get good starts and run up front and minimize the mistakes. If you don't go down and you position yourself to be there at the end, you're going to be just fine.
Well, the other
That's
thing,
what
David,
I would think David.
The other
would be
thing
doing.
David's
I missed him
telling
today
him-
because I wanted to talk to him. I didn't see him.
I talked to DV at Oakland. The other thing he's telling him is you've got to be aggressive still too. He said you can't, actually it was at Glendale. He said he can't afford not to be.
Faulkner said that too.
Yeah,
Or
he said.
Ollie said that. We
But I
gotta
remember
get
you
win.
saying that. I remember
Yeah,
you commenting.
and he said, you know, it might be one of those situations where he just has to take the penalty and the fine. He goes, it's Supercross racing, and you can't afford not to be aggressive.
Who's under?
Dylan.
Suspension
Yeah.
is horrendous, or probation.
And Dylan talks very openly, because he's open, right, the way he speaks.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I've heard him several times, he said it again today. He's like, it's crazy. He'll use the words crazy. He's like, the 450, the field, everything that goes on is crazy. Like, and he looks genuinely blitzed every time he talks about it. And you always get the feeling with Dylan, like, he's kind of like, who knows what's going to happen? It's like you're along for the ride a little bit, you know, the 250s, the gate drops, and it's like, boom, crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You know, and that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I don't know, to me, that he always talks about it like that. There's always seems like there's a little element to him of like surprise and anything can happen. And so I wonder if that's why his attitude just is like, look, I can't control anything, so let's just be here.
He went into Las Vegas with like a 10%
Right, and
chance
that
to
was
win a
his point,
championship,
yeah.
and he's got a number 1 on his plate.
Yeah,
So
that was
maybe
his
that experience shapes sort of like,
Yeah.
it's out of my hands anyway.